goes, watching TV shows, and some of it's good and some of it blows. And when we finish the movies, yeah, we need a scotch, and we turn to each other and say, what did we just watch? Okay, we're live.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings.
And welcome.
We're waving, but if you're listening to this to the audio, you can't see us.
But picture us waving at you. I don't know why we just did it again like they could see it. Well, we just said they couldn't see it.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
So welcome to the first episode of
what did we just
watch?
We rebranded, folks. We warned you. We warned you it was coming.
Yeah, we actually came up with a name, and Emily Lynch did some cool art, and
Beautiful.
Emma did some cool jingles. So
all of our three powers come together as one to form. What did we just watch?
This podcast.
What did we just watch? Okay.
We're excited. Emily and I were just talking about how this movie that we're going to talk about today is like one of our first bad movies. Like it's what got us started into watching bad things.
Yeah, like looking for it. Personally.
Yeah, we watched this probably. It must have been our freshman year. Right?
No, we watched it sophomore year.
Sophomore year? Okay. I guess it was our sophomore year of college.
But I think this is when we actually started like searching for bad movies, you know?
Yeah.
Like we probably had seen them before, but this we like intentionally were like, we want to watch like a shitty movie, like a shitty like Lifetime movie. You know, when you're like that's the mood you're in, that's the vibe you want in your film. Like,
right.
You want something to
that day.
Make fun of.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we sought out this film, and since then we have sought out many more films of its kind. But for the first episode of this podcast, where we intend to just talk about these exact type of films, we decided to go back to a classic.
A classic.
Our first one.
A Teacher.
This is the one that like every time we mention it, it's like probably one of the worst movies we've ever seen. Like,
definitely.
I wouldn't say it was the worst movie, but it's still like top 5 worst movies I've ever seen.
Top 3.
Like, I think it is. Yeah.
And we're fresh off a rewatch, so we've got lots of thoughts for you. I think we all decided that it was worse than we had originally thought. Like we knew it was our standard for like a bad movie, but then upon rewatch it's still
I'm pretty sure the first time we watched this movie, we watched like a bad Lifetime where a kid got addicted to porn. Like that was way better than this movie. Yeah, but that one was bad, but we liked that one way more than we liked A Teacher.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So it's 75 minutes of pure hell. It feels way longer.
Right? It does feel longer. And we're going to take you through it and some of our commentary, and hopefully you can piece together the plot. I feel like if we watch shorter things, we'll be able to show you guys some of it, but this one, maybe it's good that we don't show you. Maybe it's good you just hear from us what happened.
You can also search for it on your own. It's on Amazon Prime and Hulu.
Yep. So if you really feel tempted after this pod to go give it a watch, that's up to you. I won't condone it, but
don't. But yeah, if you really want to.
Yeah, but the real reason we decided to watch this one first is because they're coming out with a mini series with Nick Robinson and I think like Kate Mara or whatever. Yeah. I know she's from House of Cards and also Fantastic Four.
I'll look it up.
So we were like, why in the world would they ever make a TV series about this movie? Yeah. So we decided that one of our next episodes is going to be about watching the TV series, but we have to watch the original before, and that's why we put ourselves through this.
We have to pay respects,
to the
that comes first.
I can't believe they didn't change the name. Like they didn't workshop the name when they made a whole new series.
A Teacher.
Sounds good. Like we're good with that.
That's
like
a keeper.
Not the Perfect. Teacher, not teacher. a teacher. Just one teacher, one specific.
I mean, it was one teacher.
It was
They also,
one.
I looked on Wikipedia, so apparently they changed all the names except for Eric, who is the main boy. And I was like, oh, why?
Like
why
for
did
the
you
TV show?
Yes, for the TV show.
What the heck?
Okay. So,
all right, well, let's do it. Let's dive in. Let's
give a synopsis.
A teacher. Okay.
Well, like a brief synopsis would just be it's about a teacher having sex with her student. That's basically what the movie is.
That's really all you need to know for the basis of this. Nothing else really makes sense or fits in or has a place. So we can go from there. So our opening shot, we can talk a little bit about that, of the teacher jogging. Any thoughts?
Well, Emily, do you want to go first, or do you?
Well, I was just going to say I really wasn't a big fan of the dissonant music that we had to hear during that scene, and that continued and persisted through every quote-unquote dramatic moment in the rest of the film.
Literally sound like she was being chased by a serial killer. It literally sound like a beginning of a horror movie.
Yeah, so picture a woman jogging, and then in the background, it sounds like elementary school band where they were like, warm up a little bit, and then we'll get started. That's what it sounded like.
And we're just like, what?
So we're already off on a good start here.
Okay,
so we don't know who the woman is, but we have some fabulous cut scenes in this movie, and we cut to classroom.
She's an AP English lit teacher, which
is that supposed to be a metaphor for something like that? Like, out of all the teachers, the AP English lit one is the one that's gonna fuck the kids. Is that supposed to be something there?
Is there a book that a teacher fucks a kid? And
I don't know.
Well, that's the next scene. The scene is showing her classroom, and it starts with them saying the Pledge of Allegiance, but it's on a small TV screen that, I guess the kids forgot
the words.
So she just posts, and she pushes that away, and she's like, "Come on, guys, it's time for our quiz," and they're like, "Oh man."
I also she asks the class, "Did anyone do the reading last night?" And the response she gets is no, absolutely not, which I would never be bold enough to say no, fuck you, to the teacher that I was in the class for if they asked if I were to do the reading. I probably didn't, but why would they say that to her?
Yeah, they were like, absolutely not. And she was like, okay, LOL. Schoolwork. It was an AP class too.
Yeah, I don't know why they were so happy to proclaim that they hadn't done that, but they did.
Yeah, but then while they were taking the quiz, this boy, this child, this student comes up to her desk and is like, "Can I borrow a book?" And she was like, "Sure." And you were like, "Oh no, is this the kid?" And then sure enough, scene,
it's her birthday.
After school at nighttime. Oh yeah. So first it's her birthday. She went to a bar with her roommate, and she had one drink.
Who the roommate and her has really good sexual tension.
There.
There's a lot of sexual tension. Yeah.
For no reason. It really feels like the roommate wants to sleep with her.
It doesn't become a plot point, but it could have.
Yeah.
But it sparked my interest, I'll say. I was invested. So they do one shot. They take just one. They're like, "Woo, it's our birthday." And then we flash to the teacher's phone, where we see the most haunting text from this high school boy that says, "When can I see the birthday girl?" So
and she was like, "Wow, that got me going." And she meets him later.
But Emily, if Rashab texted you, "When can I see the birthday girl?" on your birthday, what's your reaction? What are you sending back to him?
First of all, I would expect him to have cake.
Not hot, sweaty car sex.
Not car sex. And also, weird text to send for sure.
Yeah.
Also, it gets weirder when we consider that she is nearing 30. and
And
he
also,
is a high schooler. That's the main part.
Yeah.
That is weird.
And also, they don't express any like sort of age for him, so I feel like it's still weird if they were like he's 18, but also it's weirder that they did not even say
that they didn't mention it.
They
he
don't
was
even
18.
attempt to explain it.
Yeah. So she takes her birthday shot. She gets the creepy text, and now another beautiful cut. We see the high school boy. They're on a street, and for her birthday, the best present of all, car sex.
His dick.
Yep.
Really long car sex. Like, I swear that scene was like 2 minutes.
The scene felt long.
Uncomfortable amount of time, but
the actual sex was quite short.
Yeah.
But we watched the whole thing. That's the worst part. Is we got the pleasure of viewing the sex from the beginning to the end.
Also, this is at least where I learned their names, which was Eric and Diana. So Diana's the teacher and Eric's the high schooler student.
Yeah. And like above and beyond the creepiness and the abuse of it all, also the dialogue is really weird. I feel like I wrote a couple down. He said, hello, madam, shall we? Before he got in the car. And then when he got out of the car, he said, later, Gator.
I forgot.
Those are the only ones I wrote down from that scene, but the weird dialogue.
But the later Gator, he gets out and then he walks around the car and gets back in. It's weird. Like, he doesn't leave.
Correct.
He comes back and they're like talking and she's like, wow, this is great. And he's like, yeah, when can I see you again? And you're just like,
yeah, you're like, wait, hold on. I forgot about later Gator. Those were all very weird things. And hello, madam was one I didn't even notice, but I'm disturbed by it nonetheless.
So they part ways. I feel like at that scene she's feeling a little guilty, but she mostly feels great about having that mediocre high school sex. And
it's honestly the shittiest birthday, but for her, for one shot in car sex, that's all it takes.
And it
solid day.
Cuts away. We keep talking about the cuts because like the transitions are pitch black screens, and then the next scene, and it's abrupt. People could be in the middle of a sentence. She could be like, "Yeah, I like cut," and then it goes
later.
Like the content of this movie, awful. The filming of this movie, awful.
Yeah, I wrote down because Emma, at the end of the scene, the shaky cam was ridiculous. It was like the person was like,
it was sorry. Like they were like, "Is this good? Was this shot good?"
I'm a little nervous for this scene. Is this okay? Like, the movie also is just filmed terribly. Honestly. I know the director is a woman, but this is why.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I would know.
Is she really?
I'm pretty sure this is a woman director. Hold on. I've looked up A Teacher a lot.
It's the first result.
It's directed by Hannah Fidel.
I guess it did come over or overcome the sexist norm that only men can sleep abusers in positions of power.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a stereotype that we as women wanted to overcome, but it certainly did that.
Yeah, women's rights, right?
Women can be predators too, you know.
Oh
my gosh.
And so the next scene is when she's
Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving, so this is a holiday movie, so happy holidays, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We know that's coming up, so we chose this just for you. Just for you guys.
It was between this and Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving, and we decided to stay with
this is the right one.
So it's Thanksgiving, and she has no family to go to because she doesn't have a good relationship with her family, which they don't really explain.
Really unexplained, like
we're inferring here,
but not explained.
The way she has one of her teacher friends asked, "Hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?" She's like, "Oh, I'm seeing my brother. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you had a brother. And she's like, I do. And then she walks away.
No, wasn't she like, haha? Or they were like, you never told me you had a brother.
Yeah.
She's like, I know.
She's like, haha, I do.
Which is like a weird way to respond. And then she
and then she walked away.
Right.
She gets a drink with
a normal way to end the conversation with a human being.
Fast forward to another cut, because she leaves and it immediately cuts to the scene where she goes to see her brother. And her brother's just vibing. He's like, hey, how's it going? And she's like, fine, it's whatever.
Wait, before that, she goes to see her brother. She gets that voicemail from her brother while she's jogging again, where he's like, you can't avoid this forever. Like, mom's asking about you. Like, I want to see you. I'm in Austin. And then she goes and meets up with him. Yeah. So we already know that they're throwing in a subtle B plot about the mother. And so we were like, okay, maybe this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
But they let the ball drop on that one. We see the brother, he's vibing.
The brother's like, yeah, mom forgets, but she remembers me sometimes, and she asks about you. And she's like, okay. And he's like, how are you? And she's like, I gotta go. And she gets up and runs.
No, he says, I'm worried about you.
Oh, sorry.
And then she says, okay. And then gets up and runs away.
And then, never again will the mother be addressed. Never again will the brother be addressed. Never again will she talk about her family or reference her family in any way through the rest of the film. So that's done. That B-plot only lasted one.
So the mother might have dementia, Alzheimer's. We don't know. She has really bad memory loss. She just got knocked on the head and she's trying. She has amnesia. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We do kind of watch this teacher's life deteriorate. I guess this was their feeble attempt of being like, look, her family life is bad, but they did such a shit job that it just was really awkward.
Maybe we're supposed to compare her mother's loss of memory to her losing control of her life. I don't know. We don't know what the director.
That's a metaphor I didn't pick up on.
Life. we can't see her lose control if we never saw her with control. I think that's really a lot of the problem.
Yeah.
But so then she goes on Thanksgiving with her roommate, right?
Yes.
Wait, before she goes, she hooks up with the kid again.
Yes, and they're like, she says, "This is the happiest I've ever felt in a long time." That is what she said.
Which is sad. She has sex with the high school boy and says, "This is the happiest I've been in a long time."
He was
upset.
And he was like, "Wow, your boobs are great." And then he snuggles her boobs. That's what he was like.
This is what makes me happy, and then licks her boob, and it's like, whoa, what? Hello?
And then I feel like because I have it in my notes that it cuts to her running again. So I guess she runs.
Of course it does.
Thanksgiving party
all the time.
Oh my God.
It's a metaphor for her running from her life.
True.
Yes. But then, so her and her roommate are packing for Thanksgiving, right? This must be the next part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then her roommate is being super nice and talking to her about how her family's excited to have her for Thanksgiving, because she's bringing her roommate for Thanksgiving. And all this stuff, and how she's gonna introduce her to her high school friends and these boys that she knows and whatever. And the roommate, the teacher, a teacher, is not listening whatsoever. She closes the door of her bedroom to send a text to
a nude,
boy. And then she just goes back into her roommate's room. And she's like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't listening."
I also want to say that I'm pretty sure Eric texts back something stupid. He was
I'm pretty sure
nice,
he does too.
Or something.
Yeah, he was looks good, smiley face, some stupid shit like that. If I sent my nudes and then I just got a nice, I'd be a little.
Before. I would be upset.
That nice to someone's nudes. Oh my God.
Kiana.
Are you Eric?
Yeah, I'm Eric. Everyone choose what character they would be. I would be the mother who has no memories.
I am the teacher who asks how she's doing at lunch, and then comes in when there's like the vibes off later in the movie.
Oh, and she's like, not much.
Yeah,
she's
like,
wait, we're getting too far ahead.
You asked who I was. I'm her.
Yes, that's
I
true.
would be the roommate who
has the weird
has
sexual
no idea
tension.
what's going on. Yeah, well, also that, but like mostly she just has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, that's fair.
So after that, the scene cuts again to the Thanksgiving party with the vibe of a frat party at Williamberry. Like,
and we have to think that they're like 27, like 28 plus, yeah. And they're like, the vibes are all off, frat party, not dim lights.
One guy was like, there's a hair in my beard. Like, come on, we're old enough where there should not be any hair in your beard.
And then the roommate had planned on introducing her to two men, like potential suitors. And so she meets one of the guys and she's like, oh, what do you do? Like, he was like, oh, you're a teacher. And she's like, yeah. She's like, oh, what do you do? And he was like, I run a website called lolpoorpeople.com.
Yeah. Again, another thing that is like not explained. Like that's the last time we hear of that.
Yeah, we're not sure if that was a joke or like he was serious. Like he actually runs a website like that. Like that's how bad the acting was as well.
What kind of like things would be on lolpoorpeople.com? Like what are people logging on to see? I'm so confused. The whole premise. Man.
But
did
like,
you take a picture of a like what?
But
how do you
also,
know that they're poor?
That same guy as well was like, yo, you're one of those teachers that like all the dudes, high schoolers, would be in love with and like want to date. Like he kept saying that.
Yeah.
But he said bang too. He's like, they're gonna want to bang you.
And she's
like right in front of her, and she was like,
she's like, hey, and the roommate was like, you good, homie? And she's like, no, I gotta go. And she's like, okay, here's the keys.
Yeah, she gets back, she leaves a like yearning voicemail to the high school boy.
I miss you. Eric, why do you never call me anymore?
Yeah, so that was and then the next day what happens? Because she's watching the football game, and then doesn't something happen?
The next day,
the roommate like lay on the bed with her.
And then there's a football game. I want to say though, before we go to the vibes, is that the football game looked like a pee-wee football game. Like they look like children playing. Like that wasn't a professional team. Like I guess they couldn't get.
Yeah,
footage.
And this is with like her roommate's family on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the
she's
vibe
like
is off again.
She's like, wow, I'm feeling kind of sad because my like teenage boyfriend's not here. And she goes to lay on her bed and the roommate comes in and like strokes her face. It's like,
she's like, I just want you to be happy.
I think you're so cute. Like she also has been saying like previously, like she's like, you're so cute and like you could wear a paper bag. And we're like,
yeah,
what?
I forgot about the paper bag part. She's
no
like,
one talks to her roommate. Was like So yeah, so what's next? Oh, the Sadie Hawkins dance.
Oh, the Sadie Hawkins. Oh, also, wait.
No, that was after.
Don't they go to school and then they find out about the freshman girl with the pictures?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So apparently, like, some freshman girl got her nudes leaked, which is horrible, and the teachers were gossiping about it, and then so the teacher starts to freak out because she
disassociates.
She sends her nudes to the boy. So she corners Eric after school by his car, which isn't sus at all. That's totally a normal thing for a teacher to do to a student. And she says phones are everywhere, and wants him to delete the photos in front of him.
Which he does, but it's like we all know how like the internet works. Like you can delete off your phone, but like it still exists probably.
Right.
Or it could.
So she's like, thank you for deleting those pictures. And he's like, you want to come over later? And she's like, yeah. In broad daylight. They're like, and they were talking in normal voices again. There was no whispering. It wasn't like, you want to come over? It's like, do you want to have sex with me later tonight, teenage boy?
And then another teenage boy walks over, and so she's like, you two boys stay out of trouble.
And the friend is like, okay. And Eric is like, hey, I hit that on the regular. Like, there's no way that Eric doesn't tell his friends that he's having sex with this teacher.
Yeah.
They're also like, that is the, like, he's not portrayed as like a shy boy. He's portrayed as like a hot jock.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he hasn't told anyone yet.
Yeah. I'm shocked that like it wasn't from him, but yeah. And then what happens next? Then they're meeting up later. What do they meet up later for?
Well, they go to his brother's house.
Oh,
but I feel like nothing of consequence. Oh, it was just like a weird
Wait,
like,
no. The brother's house is after. Is the brother's house before the? Yeah, you're right. I was like,
it's the brother's house because he says like, oh, I got asked to the Sadie Hawkins dance. Yeah. I should go because people think of it, like I don't want it to be suspicious. So she was like, I'm gonna have to see you dancing with another girl.
And they're like
ha ha ha,
cuddling and making out, and we're like, barf.
Just gross stuff, basically.
And then they're discussing about Sadie Hawkins dance in like a little club format, and they're like, oh yeah, are you volunteering? And the teacher's like, yeah, I think so, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then one of the kids laughs at the girl who had her nude leaked. He was like, I wonder if that freshman is going.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, we're like,
and the teacher laughs along, like, why are you laughing at this poor girl's nudes being leaked?
Like, that was like a low-key like sexual harassment, and she was just like, LOL, like that's so funny.
I would not. I think no teacher. Well, that's not true. There might be teachers like that, but if that were to ever happen, no teacher would be like, "LOL" with the students.
Yeah.
It's so
good.
Wait, is the next part when she's having like a dream sequence and like it's all foggy of the high school boy and he's like
and he's wearing all white, weird. Like he's an alien.
A polo shirt.
Like he looks like he had died and she's dreaming about him coming back to life or something.
And then she gets a call from him and he says, "Hey baby," and she says, "I was just thinking about you," and he says, "Okay."
Is this when they go to the ranch?
Wait,
Am I getting ahead of myself?
Wait, okay, so we got confused. When she talks about the Sadie Hawkins dance, they're at her house because the roommate's not there. But when because I have the notes that I have the notes that when they go to the brother's house, that's when her spine is just like in our faces.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, wow. So they go to their brother's house to have a rendezvous, and he's like sits down in the bed and he's like, take off your clothes. And she's like,
oh yeah,
okay, and she does it so slowly.
It took ages. I aged 5 years.
Yep. And her spine is like protruding from her back, and it's just like very like we could see it, and you're just like, I wish I could like look at anything else besides her like taking off her clothes for this 17-year-old boy, or I don't know how old he is. Yeah,
they didn't mention the age, which is sus.
And now this is when they go to the ranch.
Off to the ranch. So they're in the car driving to the ranch because they're a functional and healthy couple, and they're sharing an apple. And that's just so jarring for me. Why does anyone need to share an apple with one another? Like it wasn't like split it, like cut into slices. Like, here, you have some slices, I have some slices. It was like, I'll take a bite and then I'll hold it to Emily and Emily will take a bite. And then I'll take a bite. And that just makes me get chills. I just can't stand it. Yeah. Oh my god, sharing an apple in these times. Didn't they know?
Yeah. Oh wait, this movie came out. We should probably say what year. I think it was 2013.
A Teacher 2013.
Yep. A Teacher 2013.
In this SAI. And then they're driving on the path they're sharing the apple, which is disgusting. They're talking about stuff. And then all of a sudden, her head goes down.
No, wait.
Nowhere.
You said stuff, but he talks about his dick for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How, like, he's like, wow, it's getting bigger, right? Like, it looks stronger. And she's like, and you're
like doesn't
what?
answer because, like, what the heck of a question is that? He just, like, doesn't respond, but he keeps talking.
But she responds enough that she's, like, laughing and smiling. And, like, no one in their right mind would be like that. She would be like, what are you talking about?
You're like, what do you mean?
But again, she is dating 10 years younger than her, so.
Yeah, that's true. And then she puts her head down, and we know what happens when you're driving and someone's putting your head down there, so I don't need to elaborate on that.
But and this is when they crash and die. Just kidding. I wish they did.
What should have happened?
That would be interesting. That would have been a better end than what actually happened. My question is, who would enjoy that? Like, I'm such an anxious driver that for me, I'm like, what are they doing? Focus on the road. Like, you have a job.
Maybe he put it on cruise control so he doesn't really have to.
It was like a country road. It wasn't like...
Oh, wait. We should talk about...
It was a dirt road.
Yeah. We also need to talk about that Eric's accent goes from normal to Southern, like, anytime the actor feels like it.
Yeah, so this is a point in the film where he just decides, it's Southern time now. I'll be speaking in a Southern accent. Hope you're all cool with that.
I sure do love these boobies.
A real line. No, it's not. It could have
probably been. Yeah, I would not be surprised if he said something like that.
So we get to the ranch. They're fucking sleeping. She takes a very leisurely stroll in the morning with a cup of coffee. The fit is trash.
I wish they dressed her better.
There's a sweater and a skirt.
But it did not fit her well at all. It was really unflattering, which kind of sucked.
They're fucking again. Oh wait, no, is that when she comes back and then he looks like he's asleep?
Yeah.
And he's like, surprise!
And then they start fucking.
The guy comes.
Then the ranch hand comes.
The car pulls in and it's like the guy who takes care of the ranch when they're not there because it's like his parents' house.
Oh no, they're gonna get caught. You might think.
Oh no, that's what you think.
Suspense.
And they hear him finally. He says hello 4 times and they don't hear him until finally they hear him. And she runs into the bathroom and then he has a conversation with this man and this man is like, does your father know you're here? Yes, sir. And he's like, okay. Because this man just walks into the house, which I guess is fine because he manages the property, but it was still felt weird. But yeah, he was like, okay.
The man did not question it. He wasn't like, why are you here? Why do you have a boner? Because there's no way.
Yeah. There's no way, yeah. Because they were fucking and then he throws on his shorts to go talk to him. There's no way. No way.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And then the ranch hand eventually leaves because I guess he's satisfied with those super mediocre answers and doesn't think anything else is weird. And the teacher's all freaked out.
He's we could have gotten caught, I'm a teacher and you're my student. And he's like,
yes, that's why you shouldn't be doing this, man.
He's making eggs. He puts them straight into the pan cracked. He doesn't scramble them before. That's a little weird.
Then 2 seconds later, they appear on a plate, fully scrambled. Not a seasoning in sight. Not a shake of pepper or salt.
And he puts ketchup near them, and he's like, I don't know why you're so upset.
I don't know why you're so freaked out.
Babe, chill out.
Yeah, he does call her babe and tell her to chill out, which are two things you shouldn't do.
Don't call your significant other babe when you're in a fight with them, please.
No, yeah, that's a no. That's a no from... And then they cut to a weird ranch montage. It's really melancholy, and they're behind one another, and the music's
Oh wait, before this is when she's like, I think we need to take a break, and he's like,
oh, that's right,
whatever. And she's like, just after this weekend, we need to take a break, and he's like, okay. And then they cut to that scene,
and then they had the melancholy ranch montage. She stands at the porch with a book and looks into the distance, and is all the music's swelling sadly and stuff,
but not good. It's still bad music.
No, it's still bad. Of course, it couldn't be good. Not in this movie. So yeah, then we have a bad part come on up because he creeps up behind her.
He grabs her face roughly and tries to kiss her. She's like, no. And he's like, come on. And he's like, no. And he's like, come on. And he like grabs her and she's like, no. And she pushes him off. And you're like, what is going on? And he was like, I thought that after this weekend, like we would put a hold after this weekend. She's like, no, I'm not in the mood. And he's like, okay. And then and then they cut.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Instant cut.
An instant cut. No explanation.
She is now at her house going to school, like getting ready for school. Like you're like, okay.
And we're assuming that she's had some form of break here, like from him. Was that she talks to him later, or does she talk to him that day?
That's when this is right before this is like a montage of her living her life without him, but she keeps like looking over and he's like having a good time because he's in high school and he has friends, unlike Diana, the teacher, who has zero friends besides the roommate who kind of wants to fuck her. Because later in this scene, I think, is when the roommate comes in with her like guy that she's hooking up with and she's like, Diana, you want a beer? And Diana's like, no. And she's like, are you sure? Like, come on. And like the boyfriend's like,
she calls her honey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah.
And then it like that scene cuts with her like her boyfriend.
Of course it does.
Like, having,
of course it does.
Like the roommate and her man having really loud sex and Diana daydreaming about Eric. That is how that scene is.
The guy she brought to the roommate Sophia brought a guy to have sex and she was like, Matt, this is Diana. And he was like, hi Diana. And it was so nice. And then they have sex.
But it really felt like they wanted her to join as well. Like
those were the vibes that were being put out.
Like that.
This movie, throuple potential.
And then we transfer to the Sadie Hawkins dance, where Eric is like booed up with a girl his age.
Which we stan. We love an age-appropriate romance.
And Diana is not having it. She is not having a good time. She's like, this is the worst night of my life. Previously in the movie where she was having the happiest time of her life, we are now at the worst time of her life.
She goes to the bathroom to brood and be sad, and then guess who walks in but the girl who asked Eric out to the Sadie Hawkins dance. Oh, man.
And then she just stares at her for a really long time. She's, like, washing her hands, but, like, not moving her hands and just, like, watching this poor teenage girl, like, put lip gloss on.
Yeah.
And the girl just, like, doesn't really say anything and leaves. But it was, like, a really weird scene.
Yeah. Definitely.
And she just stares at herself in the mirror, not washing her hands. And then she tries to like rip paper towel and it falls. It's like a mess. And she's like,
really awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable to watch. I guess the movie is trying to teach us that everything's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's supposed to be because it's not okay. Oh, also, I forgot when she was like going through the montage of finding herself or being herself without him or whatever, she's like creeping on his Facebook like late at night and looking through all his photos. Yeah. And we find out his last name is Tull. Eric Tull.
Eric also looks like he's 25. Like I believe the actor is probably around like 22 because I looked at their ages because I was like, how old are they? And this is in 2013, and he's like 30 now. So he has to be like 22, 21 while filming this. Right. And he looks it. Like, he
definitely does.
Which would have been more age appropriate if that's how old the character was, but sadly, no.
Yeah. And then what happens after that?
This is when she's like
to class?
Yeah, this is when she can't take it anymore. She's like, I gotta have me some of that Eric Toll dick.
Eric Doll.
And she's like, hey, can I talk to you later after class? And he's like, yeah, you can. And then she eats her lunch. One of the teachers is like, hey, you already ate your lunch? I thought we were gonna eat together. And she's like, no, I have a meeting. Like, teachers. And then the other teacher's like, okay. He has this meeting with Eric. They're actually standing like,
they're sitting far apart, right?
Like, it's not like...
Yeah, it looks like a normal student-teacher meeting.
Yeah, it doesn't look sus at all. It looks completely normal.
And like she's like, hey, can you come over tonight? He's like, hell yeah, I can come over, because Eric is stupid. But
Eric
he's also in an abusive relationship.
Being manipulated,
so you can't fault him, but he's just like thinking with his dick right now. He's like, yeah. And then in comes Emma, because this is her character that she thinks she will be.
Unlike the teacher, the nice teacher who asked about lunch bursts into the meeting, and the Diana gets freaked out because she's with Eric. So she's like, knock much? Like, next time knock. And the teacher was like, oh, I was just like checking in on you, like just making sure you're all good. Didn't know you had a meeting, sorry. And so Diana gets freaked out.
And Eric is also freaked out because he's like, wow, you're not freaked out about this teacher? She's like, no. Should I be? And he's like, I mean, you were pretty freaked out earlier, so it's kind of weird that you're not. And she's like, no, I just want to hang out with you. She's like at desperation levels now. It's very uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah. And then he comes over later.
Yeah, he comes over, and like, I don't even, do they like talk about anything? No, right?
I don't think so. I think they just start hooking up. Yeah. But then she starts crying in the hookup, like they're having sex, and she starts to cry, and he's like, whoa.
That's not a fun time.
No. Kiana would know. So she starts to cry, and I think he stops and is like, is it good? And she's like, no, put it back in, it's good, like keep going. And he's like, okay. But then she's like still off, like crying and stuff. So then she like
pushes him away, and she's like, we shouldn't be doing this. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna leave. And she's like, no, don't leave, I want you. And he's like, you literally just pushed me away, but like, go off.
He's like, you're acting crazy.
Which she is. She's like crying and like grabbing onto his
leg. She gets on her knees and starts grabbing his legs. And she's like, please don't go. Please don't go, please.
Yeah. Oh, and then the roommate comes home. So we see a cut of like the roommate like unlocking the door and walking into the like living room. And then he finally like gets out of her grasp and like runs out and like says like, oh, sorry to the roommate. And she's like, what the hell is this like 17-year-old doing in my home? She's like a respectable, normal, like almost 30-year-old woman, and so she doesn't think that should be happening. And then she runs, like the teacher, a teacher, runs out after him, like pulling her t-shirt on, and then we're like, I guess she just gets in her car because he's gone, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
So she drives to his house.
She drives, yeah.
But first she has to call because she's like...
she gets to his house, right? And then she calls the dad. Or calls the house.
Well, she tries to call him. He's not picking up. She calls, like, the operator to be like, hey, can you get me that number, though? Which, borderline, it's, like, she's already passed so many boundaries at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and then she calls the dad. The dad's like, it's a little late, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like it's a little late to be calling.
Because the dad thinks it's, like, a student, like, one of his friends. He doesn't know that this is his teacher. So he's like, just talk to him tomorrow, like, please.
At school. Yeah, he's like, just talk to him tomorrow.
And then she does not like that answer because she gets out of her car, like basically like throws rocks at Eric's window and it's like, come down, I need to talk to you. And Eric's like, okay. And he comes down, he's like, so what you doing here? And she's like, we can work this out. Like, you're going to college next year and we can like be together because you're not going that far.
Whoa, what? He's like, wait, huh?
That's not what I intended from this.
I just thought. And then what happens after that? Does it
She's
cut
like
again?
Screaming. She's like making a scene.
Crazy.
Yeah. She's making
being crazy, and the dad comes out. Like he's like, what? Like the kid is like, what are you doing? Like my dad's coming now. The dad comes down and is like, is everything okay over here, kid?
Because again, the dad doesn't know that this is literally his teacher.
Yeah, like he can't tell yet. And she's like, what do I do? And he's like, I guess you have to like fucking like leave my house. And so she goes and like runs and gets in her car and then it cuts again and suddenly it's like dawn, like morning, and she's just like driving on the highway to who knows where, and she shows up at a motel inexplicably.
Yeah.
like no thought process there was explained.
Yeah,
no information was given to us to help us understand that.
She shows up to the motel. She doesn't even check in. She goes straight into a room. So I'm assuming that she already checked in. They just didn't bother to show us that. She sits on her bed and she listens to a voicemail. One is from her roommate who's like really worried about her because her roommate's in love with her.
Or she's just a normal person who's concerned. Maybe both. Perhaps both. If my roommate ran out after a 17-year-old and was never to return,
but again, I feel like the roommate probably didn't put two and two together because Eric looks so older. So I feel like she probably was like, this is a younger man, but she wasn't like immediately like, this is my student.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Until probably the police showed up to her apartment and was like, yo, so where's your roommate? Because she's a sexual offender. And she's like, oh, that man was young.
Yeah, because then the second voicemail was this like very like nice sounding message for what the like purpose of it was, from like someone at the school, like someone in like the front office at the school being like, hi, this is so and so, like I really need you to like come into the school today. We have like an incident here with a student named Eric Toll, and his father is here, so we really will be needing you to like come to the school today. And so then she listens to that message.
And then she cries.
Then she cries.
Yeah, that's the end.
And then it's over.
It's in. Is it?
That's the end of the film.
There's nothing is resolved. I mean, I guess her hooking up with her student is resolved, but that's like so poorly done that like
barely.
Yeah, it's like we have to like assume the good in this film and assume that the message we're supposed to take away is like, wow, this is bad what she did and now she'll face the consequences of her actions. But like also I don't think they took enough steps in the narrative to like actually show that.
Yeah, I also like fully believe that I can't even believe that was their message. Like the way they were portraying
it. The benefit of the doubt, but I'm not sure either.
Yeah,
I agree.
I felt like they portrayed her as the victim a lot, even though she was like fully in control of, like they showed Eric being like very like more aggressive and like always kind of initiating the sex, but I was like, well, she can tell him no, and like,
and like that doesn't make it okay because she's obviously in the position of power.
Yeah, as a teacher.
Also, that's true because I feel like they didn't show like anything about like the onset of it or like the background or like how it started.
No.
So it's like, I feel like that was another mechanism to make us feel like she's like the victim by just showing like him being assertive. But it's like obviously that's not how it started. So like it's that part.
Like he didn't walk up to her and was like, "Can I fuck you, teacher?" Like
like the first scene we see him in, he's like already flirtatious and like
they're already hooking up.
Can I see you? Like can I see you tonight? Like. And she's like, oh, like, you know, she's caught up in it. And this is like the end is her realizing that maybe she shouldn't like have done this. But also I'm like, there was plenty of reasons not to like hook up with your student before now.
It's so easy not to do it. You just don't do it. Like you don't fuck underage people. You just don't. That's so easy to do. Just don't do it. And if you're in a position of power, you don't like manipulate people and get them into relationships like that.
Yeah, and like by the end, I feel like they were pushing it more where like Eric was the victim because she was acting so erratic and he was like, he looked scared. Like he was like, I don't know what's going on. And then you're like, yes, finally, this is how it's supposed to be throughout this whole entire movie. But instead.
Right, but he doesn't know he's being manipulated. Like to him, he's just like having sex with a hot teacher.
Yeah, and she's also not that hot. Like, and
well,
also
in
Eric,
his eyes probably,
but
right?
also Eric is not that hot to risk it all for, I guess. But I don't know. I shouldn't probably put labels on like risking it all for an underage student, but like, it's just like, it's a horrible movie.
It's not a good movie.
Yeah, it's like they get around to the right message at the end, but the point stands that like that message didn't need to be given because it's clear and apparent to anyone with the brain, and so it was really weird that they like didn't just have that message the whole time. Like,
it's kind of like because you watch a movie and you think like, what was the point? Like, who's this audience for? And we watch. That audience. I don't know who that audience.
I have no idea.
It wasn't me. It certainly wasn't me.
We
were the wrong people.
We're open to a lot of movies too. Like I feel like we would watch most. We watch most movies, and we give
like, credit where credit's due, but there's no credit to be given here. Yeah. Which brings me to my rating. My rating for this movie is 2 half-shared apples out of 10.
So does that just make 1 apple?
Oh, yeah, then I guess that's a one full apple, but 2 like half-eaten and passed apples. A 2 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a 2 out of 10, maybe even a 1.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's like 1 full apple and then an apple that's like 80% consumed.
Yeah. I don't.
It's like the core is left.
We watch bad movies and there's usually like fun things to get out of it. Like we bond, we say some cool jokes.
That's why we like them.
Yeah, but that movie was not like, it's only 75 minutes long. That means it's an hour and 15 minutes. And it felt like
a lifetime.
Yeah, it felt, we watched it and we were like, we're only 30 minutes into this movie. It just feels like we've been watching it for hours.
Which is what the experience we had the first time too, but it felt like 10 times worse this time for whatever reason. It felt
I think it's because we were aware it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we just watched like so many other movies like this done that were like more entertaining that we just forgot this one was so bad.
Yeah.
I feel like long story short, like we're gonna do a lot more movie reviews, and I don't think this is the one that people would want to seek out and watch. Afterwards. Like
I would agree
if you feel inclined. But
if you feel inspired,
there will hopefully be better ones to talk about.
Yeah, I definitely.
By Eric Tull, go for it.
I definitely would love if people did watch it. I definitely would love you guys to like talk about it with us.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. So. Let us know. Our next, I think, episode will be on the first part of the mini-series. Which, so now you have some exposition, so maybe
it might be the mini-series. There's also plenty of Christmas movies coming up.
Right, we got a lot of stuff to pick from. Or if you have a particularly good, like, a good bad movie or, like, YouTube or something, like, you want to send our way for us to watch, we'll do it.
Yeah,
we'll do it. We watched A Teacher. We'll do pretty much anything. We really
watch that movie again. I definitely remember watching it the first time, being like, "I'm never watching this movie again." And here we are.
Here we are.
We watched it again.
We had no way to know.
Yeah.
Well, it's good first step. We did good.
Yeah, I think it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I pause it. Should I stop it?
Wait, should we sign off?
Okay, yeah, let's sign off.
Okay. Well,
what are we gonna say? I can cut this out.
I was gonna just be like, thanks for listening to us or watching us, guys. It's been a blast. I don't know what else.
We love you. Go subscribe on our YouTube. Go listen on Spotify.
I don't know if this is where the subscribe button.
There's a kissy with consent if you want it. Yeah, that's it.
And this was
what did we just watch?
What did we just watch?
Okay.